You see, it's a little bit of dust on it still, because I had this for a long period of time, kind of got to blow the dust off. So, the PS3, the original model. I just recently started this channel not too long ago, so I was already on YouTube for a couple of years. I actually still have the channel, so this is actually going to be my second channel. Now, my first channel was predicated on just playing video games. Now, when I first started out on my first channel, like it was just, it was faceless gameplay and everything like that, until just recently, as of like, within the past, week or two, like, I've actually gotten, a little bit more comfortable with being on camera, because, I was never really like the type to, want to, like put myself out there. Like, now I was actually doing Twitch. Like I was doing Twitch. Now I just started Twitch not too long ago as well. I started out just doing regular commentary and everything, like faceless commentary at that. But I kind of like worked myself up to a point where like, I feel comfortable enough with getting on camera. So from the moment I decided to get on camera with Twitch, it kind of like hit me like, oh, I mean, if I could do this with Twitch, I could definitely do this with YouTube, so that's part of the reason for why, like, I figured, what, let me start over. Like, let me start like a fresh, clean slate. You feel me? So today, I was just sitting down and I was thinking, I was like, what could I make a video about, being that this is actually going to be my first video on this, on this new channel. I'm like, what can I make a video about, and being that I'm kind of like already in a gaming niche, so I was like, I don't necessarily want to play a game because, gaming, let's be honest, like when it comes to YouTube, gaming is kind of like oversaturated in a way, so it's kind of like you could still game on YouTube, but it's just like you have to find like a different approach to kind of like stand out, and it's kind of hard because, as they say, like there's nothing really, original under the sun. But I was thinking to myself, I was like, what, I could either do game reviews or I could also do video game nostalgia, so video game nostalgia in the sense of like, being able to, reflect on, I guess let's just say like the first game that I played, or like, the first, video game system that I was like introduced to, and now I still have like all of my old systems. Like I still have like my literally, I still have my Sega Dreamcast, I still have my Nintendo 64, and I also still have like the first Xbox. As a matter of fact, I just recently made a video about that on like my last channel. My last channel was actually Uncle Drew 3X. So I made a video about that, and that actually gave me the motivation to, do a similar video on this channel. Now, and as I mentioned, like I just mentioned, like I have, I still have like my old, video game system. So in a way, I'm kind of like a gaming collector. Like, I'm a video game collector at this point. So I was like, what game should I showcase in this video? And then I thought to myself, there it is. So the PS3, the original model PS3. Now, but like I'm actually more of a PlayStation 3 fan. Like, to be honest, like PlayStation 3 is like my favorite, I have a little bit of a bias like when it comes to PlayStation 3 because, okay, so I never really had the PlayStation 1, like, as I mentioned before. Like I actually had the I had the Nintendo 64. Like I knew people, friends and family and everything like that back then as a child that actually had PlayStation 1. I played it before, but like I never really had that connection to it in a way that other people did. And even with PS2. Now with PS2, like I had the PS2, but I had the slim version. I never had the original model. Now, the reason why I didn't connect with PS2 in a way that other people did is because I got it later on towards the ending of its life cycle. So by the time I got the PS2, like a couple of months later, like I actually had got the PS3, and it was actually my uncle who purchased it for me. So I was only really able to like enjoy the PS2 for like probably like a couple of months, and then like then he just shipped me a PlayStation 3, and then from there on it was just like, oh, okay, like, so that was like, that was actually one of my first times outside of like, like the first Xbox, like as a child, like that was the first time I really like experienced like a next gen system. Like when I tell you, when I seen the CD go into like the disc slot, like I knew, I was like, oh, Sony, they done changed the game. you know. But so that's the original model, you know. I had plenty of opportunities to get the get the slim model, because I know a lot of people, like, when they come out with the system, it's out for a decent amount of time. They eventually come out with the slim, model. But to be honest, like, I never thought that the slim model looked as good as, like, come on, look, this is probably like the best design of like any video game system. Like, like this is the best PlayStation design, like, of all time, So, with that being said, like, games that I used to play for it, like, so my go-to games, I used to like playing, Fight Night Champions, as you guys know, like, prior to like this recent boxing game coming out, like, this about 2 years ago, like, Undisputed, like, that was the only boxing game on the market, like, Fight Night Champions. And even still to this day, like, that game, like, Fight Night, like, Champions, like, people still play it to this day. And as a matter of fact, like, I actually just seen that they modded the Fight Night Champions, which came out in 2011. They modded it to where they actually imported, like, current boxers, so they got like Tank Davis, Terrence Crawford and everything like that, so that's cool. That's how that game was like, that's how that game was fire, because not only was it the last boxing game, but like it was probably one of the best boxing games the whole time. There's still people that play it online. It's like an online community and everything, What else? What other games I used to play for the PS3? Now, I actually played I might get some flack for this, because I know, like, on the internet nowadays, like, a lot of people, they tend to, like, this game has kind of been memed to death, like, Spider-Man 3, but Spider-Man 3, like, the movie game, you feel me? So, that was actually, like, one of my favorite games to play for, like, the PS3. I'm trying to think, like, because there's a decent amount of games that I had for the PS3, but, around that time, of the PS3, like, when I was younger, like, I used to go to GameStop heavy. Like, when I say heavy, I used to go to GameStop heavy. So, and I used to like to trade in games and everything like that. And I mean, anybody who knows GameStop, like, their trading policy is just, like, terrible, But, I used to like to always, like, go there and, like, trade in games and stuff like that, because, I don't know. I was just so much of a video game fanatic, to the point where it was like, like, I just needed, like, whenever I seen a new game come out, like, I just always had to be the first one to get it, like, yeah. So, and as I mentioned before, like, I have the, like, the PS4, I'm actually going to be making a video about that sometime soon. I have the PS4. Now, to be honest, like, I'm not really a fan of the PS4, because, like, all right, so going back to, like, the PS3, like, I feel like the PS3 was actually, like, the last of, like, a low-key, like, a dying era, where, like, you remember how you was able to, like, download, like, music and, like, videos and, like, screenshots, or, like, wallpaper and everything like that. That was the last of that era, like, where you were able to, like, literally just, go on your PS3, go online, and then you could actually go to, like, the little, the music websites. You was able to, like, import music right then and there, as opposed to, like, nowadays, you got Spotify, you got Tidal, you got what else? Amazon Music and everything like that, YouTube Music. But that was kind of like the last of an era. But now, now we gotta pay for everything and all that. So, but once the PS4 came out, and, like, Spotify and everything like that, it was just like, yeah, it's kind of, it was like, nah, like, it kind of took away, like, the little bit of freedom that we had when we had the PS3, So, nah, yeah, definitely. But I think I'm gonna end it now. But before I go, I want you to answer this question in the comment section. What was the video game that introduced you to like, just playing games in general, like, just period? And what's the first video game console that you owned? That's a question that I want, whoever comes across this video, that's a question that I want anyone to, like, answer, because, like, we could definitely have, like, a discussion in the comment section, because, like I said, like, I'm like an encyclopedia when it comes to games, like, like, I have all the systems and everything, but But yeah, we definitely gonna end it there. You know, until next time, like I'll be back with another video. Okay. All right. Take care. Thanks for watching.